I consider it a blessing that we we have this opportunity to start this business serving our older population. I call it a blessing because every day we get to learn something. And particularly in my case, since I am not having any background in the healthcare sector or in the home care sector, anything to do with caregiving, my background is very contrasting. I'm a mechanical engineer, and one of the favorite stories I can think of, this was way back in 2010 when I got a call from one of the referral partners I was working with, asked me if I can take care of somebody with a full-blown case of Alzheimer's. And this was in the beginning stages, so I have had no experience taking care of Alzheimer's. This is going to be my first client with Alzheimer's. So I was pretty upfront and honest, saying that I would definitely do my best, but that I have had no prior experience taking care of Alzheimer's. But the person who was trying to bring me on this particular client, she was very understanding and said, "Sam, you got to start somewhere, and I'm going to take that leap of faith with you." This client, let's call him Grant, because I have to conceal the proper name. So Grant had full-blown Alzheimer's. His wife, she was his primary caregiver, and she was at her wit's end trying to take care of him because, to start with, Grant was maybe mid-70s, but very healthy. He was, I think, he could easily pick me up and go for a jog and not even sweat about it. He was that well built. And there was no communication at that point because of his Alzheimer's had progressed to that stage where there were no communication. You can't tell that person anything and he would understand or he would respond. He would say some things in a very incomprehensible manner, and that's about all the communication that there was. And they had been changing caregiving agencies from A to B to C to D because nothing was working for them, and she just didn't know what to do. So I get a call for meeting the client at his home, and so I went over there, met with his wife. I tried to take in as much details about the person as much as possible because, remember, I don't have a background in home care or healthcare. So I was there sitting like a sponge, absorbing everything, absorbing all the information of the client. And we started the care. I tried to put in all the information with the caregiver, try to help her in the process and things like that. I used to get called at all times of the hours. Grant's wife, she would call me and said, "He's acting out, what do I do?" And then it would be at 11 in the night or 3 in the morning, I would just drive out, just try to help. Quite honestly, when I go there, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to be there and see what I can do. And so one such visit to the client, I think it was at about 10 or 11 in the night. Grant was very agitated and he was pacing the house and he was not willing to go to his bedroom and sleep. And as a caregiver, his wife, in her case, I can really understand that. She is ready to break down. She wants to get that rest, but Grant is running around the house and she just cannot rest. As I walked into the house, I noticed there was this keyboard, and normally I don't do this, but on that day I just played a little bit on the piano. I don't know how to play a piano or a keyboard, so I must have made some very awkward noise on the keyboard. When I did that, Grant turned and listened to the sound. He came gently, pushed me away. He sat down in front of the keyboard, and then he played for the next 10, 20 minutes. what I saw was he was playing the notes perfectly to start with, but more importantly, as he was playing, I could see his agitation level coming down. And after about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of he playing, he just got up, went to his bedroom, and slept like a baby. So we talk about people with Alzheimer's, about they having forgotten everything. What it taught me on that particular day was, no, they don't talk, I mean, they don't forget everything. Some of the skills they have, musical skills or others, that stays with them. They don't have to remember. It's almost like a muscle memory that comes back. And it also has a very unique way of connecting with them, connecting them to what they used to be in their prime. Makes them feel probably as a person that they deserve to be treated as. This was, once again, my first experience taking care of a person with Alzheimer's. So I was just astounded by this learning that I got. And I started using that going forward with the client. And I asked Grant's wife, tell me more about him, what his hobbies were and things like that. And one thing that she said, he loves playing golf. Then I started taking him out to the driving range, and he would hit a bucket full of balls clean. He would hit till the end of the driving range, clean shots. I can give him 1 or 2 buckets. He would just take 1 ball at a time, perfect shots every single time. And I can take him back home, and he had his workout, and his energy level is down, and he's ready for a good day's rest. So it's important for us to pay attention to the person who they are. Don't forget there is a person behind what you don't see as the mask of dementia. There's a real person behind it. If you're able to understand them as that person, and if you're able to tap into it, you are able to get much better response regardless of what stages of the dementia is. And some of my experience with several other Alzheimer's clients, this was the learning I used moving forward. Another client with full-blown Alzheimer's, she loved her wine, and she loved the orchids. She loved collecting orchids. So when I was sitting down with the family member, I asked, I learned about the wine, and I learned about the orchids, and my first question was, is it okay for me to bring a bottle of wine once in a while? And he said, yeah, of course, and is it okay if she has it? Go for it. You can just sit down and have a glass of wine with her, and that should be perfectly all right. So now I had the family's consent to do that. And also the orchids, of course, they were completely supportive of that. I used to take wine and orchid maybe once, twice, every other month. It's not that frequent I used to do it. But she remembered every time I come out to her, she remembers my name. She doesn't remember the name of any of her family members. She doesn't remember the name of her caregivers. Even when she needs a glass of water, she will look over her shoulders and say, "Yoo-hoo, can I have a glass of water?" Only because she couldn't remember the name. Just because I was able to understand her as a person and connect her at that level, regardless of what stage of dementia she was in, something connected. And even on her deathbed, at that time she had pneumonia, and she was in intensive care at Huntington Hospital at that time. I went to meet her and say goodbye to her because the doctors had said she may not last a week. So I wanted to visit her and say goodbye to her. I walk into her room, and I met with her family member and was chatting outside the room. She heard my voice, and she sits up in her bed and said, Sam, is that you? The family member could just not believe it because here she was, she has been in a hospital for the last 2 weeks. She couldn't remember anybody. She couldn't have a normal conversation. She hears my name and her face lights up, and then I attribute to all such experience, it's paying attention to who they are. It's a very important, very humbling learning. Don't forget, there's a person that we're taking care of. Even if that person has advanced stages of Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia, even if you think they don't understand you, even if you think they don't remember anything, they don't hear anything, my experience has been that they do. They understand, and more importantly, they appreciate it. It has been such a humbling and such a precious learning experience for me. Goes back to what I said when I started. I am so blessed that I am having this opportunity today. These are the blessings that I will remember forever.